Yes, we coming in hot this morning with Tupac. Ha! Because why not? We'll be talking about why Tupac was chosen in just a moment. But first, want to let you know that you are listening to Community Voices right here live at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. I am your host, the Reverend Doctor. You can call me Denise for Community Voices. And Hotep is already on the line. Hotep is already on the line. Want to make sure that you know that you are greeted in the spirit of Sawubona this morning. Each and every week that we show up, you are greeted in that spirit of oneness that binds us together by our humanity. And there ain't nothing you can do about the fact that we are bound together by that humanity. But what we can do is talk about how that manifests when we are face to face, interacting human to human. Like, how does it show up? And that's always the spirit that undergirds every conversation that we have, where we center Blackness in the context of the human story. Yes, that's what we do on Community Voices. We center Blackness in the context of the human story. So if you are human, this story is about you. We simply gonna focus on Black folks. And I want to make sure that you know that the phone lines are open at 501-433-0088, 501-433-0088. I do need to make a few announcements this morning before we talk about the song and before we get into our EJI tidbit that will lead us into our conversation. Garbo Hearn at Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing and Hearn Fine Art is preparing for the August. No, I think it's coming up in September. The Wisdom Wednesdays. There's a series that she does. Wisdom Wednesdays. Let me slow down. Wisdom Wednesdays. And what she's looking for, she's asking you to think about what is it that you are saying as you age? You feel like there's something that you can't do, but you want to do. Like a lot of people will say, well, I'm old now. You can't teach me anything, or I can't learn. It's hard for me. But there are some things that you are really interested in learning, really interested in knowing. Like, what are those things? And she's recruiting, she's requesting those suggestions so that she can make sure that she's tailoring the Wisdom Wednesdays to us, to the community. And so if anybody wants to shout out to me, area code 228-236-7440, a topic that you would be interested in for Wisdom Wednesdays about what you would like to learn how to do as you age. This is really a conversation catered to people who are close, if not already, in retirement. Another announcement that I'd like to make is about Chris Jones. Chris Jones will be here on the air with me on August 11th. On August 11th, Chris Jones will be in the studio live right here at KABF 88.3 FM. Chris Jones, who is running for congressman, and he is, and before that, so we are also I'm going to host him. I'm going to host his campaign in my home on the night before. So August 10th, will be the People's Table. So all around the state, Chris Jones is traveling to have what what he calls the People's Table. So just showing up into spaces, very intimate spaces where you can sit down with him and have conversation. I mean, face to face. It's not going to be one-on-one, but it's going to feel like it. And so we are inviting you to both of those spaces. August 10th, the People's Table, and then August 11th, Chris Jones will be here. And of course, we have time for me to make that announcement again and again. We also have an announcement. Let's see, I pulled this announcement from somebody. That's what I do. I go on Facebook and I be pulling y'all announcements because I'm not gonna stream for myself, but I will show pick up what you put in there. Let's see. Okay. Vibe Events presents. Wait, let me put my glasses on, y'all. Vibe Events presents Aunties and Uncles, Grown Vibes for Grown People, Sunday, August 2nd. P.m. to 9 p.m. And this is curated for ages 35 and up. You can RSVP only at the Eventbrite, and it's a relaxed dress code. There will be music vibes, classic R&B, soul, hip hop. There will be a full bar, food, and games. Oh, that's why I see those spades up there. And it's going to be held at the Attic Bar, 801 West Markham Street on the second floor in Little Rock, 72201. The Attic Bar at 801 West Markham Street on the second floor in Little Rock, 72201. I also want you to know, what else did I pull? I know I pulled something else because I could have sworn I pulled it from Cornelius's page. So let me go to Cornelius's. I thought I did. It's another announcement I'm supposed to be making, y'all, but I can't find it. And so I'm not going to worry about it right now. Hopefully, I'll remember. But I want to take a moment to just, first of all, hold space for Tupac. I just want to hold space for Tupac. Tupac, it doesn't matter to me what kind of music you like. It doesn't matter to me whether you are a person who has decided that secular music is no longer connected to sacred music, that you feel like there's a disconnect. Like either you listen to gospel or you listen to you listen to secular music like R&B and jazz and all of those things, and never the twain shall meet. I don't care how you view music. Tupac is a musical genius, period. End of report. And he is no longer with us, was shot down by us, by Black folks. We're going to talk about that. But first, before I do that, I just want to hold space for Tupac. And because Tupac is a rapper, there are some people who have automatically dismissed him again because there's only a certain kind of genre of music that you are interested in. And so you haven't taken the time to get to know him. You haven't taken the time to sit with him. You haven't even given him a chance to see if he is someone that you would be interested in, someone who could tickle your brain, not just your body with the beat, but your brain with the words. And so in this song called Brenda's Got a Baby, it's interesting because my mama's name is Brenda. You know what? Her name is not Brenda. She gave herself that name, but that's another story for another day. Brenda's Got a Baby. That's the name of the song. And basically what Tupac has done, he has simply charted the progression of a person's life when community fails them. And community starts at home. So when your family fails you, then there's a trajectory that you are on that Hezekiah, for those of you who have to source everything in the Bible, that gives you that Hezekiah experience. I can see the writing on the wall. And so here Tupac is showing us the writing on the wall. Here you have a 12-year-old named Brenda, a 12-year-old named Brenda who is pregnant. And the family act like they don't notice that her body has changed. Wait, what now? She 12 years old and you can't tell. I'm reading The Color Purple again, and they call it big. You can't tell she big. You can't tell she big again. Nobody wants to talk about it. But for a 12-year-old to be engaged in sexual intercourse, that means somebody older than her is coercing her. Somebody older than her is assaulting her, harassing her, abusing her, raping her. That's the only way she gonna get pregnant. 12-year-olds don't know nothing about running around here trying to be pregnant. Now, in this day and age, I do know that 12-year-olds know about sex. But this Brenda in this song is being molested. Tupac tells us. That's how I know. And the family act like they don't know. So she has the baby in the bathroom, throws the baby in the trash. And then the family act like they mad at her, put her out. A 12-year-old you gonna put out? Because she want to run away, and the social workers are calling you and you tired because you got to get off work because you don't feel like dealing with all that. And so you just let your 12-year-old out into the street. Okay, what is a 12-year-old going to do in the streets? The only viable option she has is sex work. That's the only viable option. And so that's what at least she has enough frame of mind to enter into that industry. As dangerous as it is, on all the physically dangerous, it's sexually dangerous, it is emotionally, spiritually, it's dangerous on all of those levels. But what choice does she have when her family and her community fails her? So then she ends up in prostitution. She's not complaining. Y'all talking about her. Y'all want to shame her. Y'all don't put her out in the street. And now look at her. But she says, listen, I'm not even complaining about it because it's paying the bills. And I got to pay the bills because I ain't got nowhere else to go because my family has turned me away. And nobody in community has picked me up. And so now she's a prostitute. And she ends up killed. But don't get me wrong, she tried to do something before she became a prostitute. She tried to sell drugs. And then she ended up getting robbed. And I know what that's like. I don't know what getting robbed is like, but I know what it's like to try to sell drugs because I did that. I was so in love with this man, and his lifestyle was just intriguing to me because I'm a good girl. I grew up on the straight and narrow. And so he was like, okay, I'm gonna show you what to do. I'm gonna show you what to do. And so I went in there, called myself trying to, baby, this not your ministry. That wasn't Brenda's ministry. She had to figure out something else that would help her pay her bills. Look, I'm over here just trying to be curious. She's trying to pay her bills. So she ends up with sex work as a prostitute, and then she is murdered, and she ends up dead. And when Tupac starts the conversation, he said he doesn't even think that Brenda knew that just because she lived in the ghetto, that did not mean that she didn't have promise. That did not mean that she did not have purpose. That did not mean that she did not have a pathway. That's not what growing up in the ghetto means, but nobody told her that. Nobody showed her that. And so she ends up dead. That's what happens to Brenda. And that's what's happening to a lot of our children. I don't care what you look like. That's what's happening to so many of our children. We're being failed by our families first. We're being failed by community second. And the world ain't never meant to do right by us. So of course the world is failing us. And then we find ourselves in these precarious situations, and the people that are on the outside looking in have nothing but judgment and shame for us and not understanding I'm doing the best that I can with these circumstances. And let me just say this for the record. I don't believe prostitution and sex work. I don't even gonna call it prostitution. I don't believe sex work should be illegal. It's your body. You do what you want to do with your body. And I guarantee you, if the industry was dominated by men, it would not be illegal. I guarantee you that. But because they cannot figure out how to capitalize, because they got to fight with the pimps and the blah, 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 blah. Baby, all you got to do is legalize and we'll be fine. And the Brendas of the world, many of them would still be alive. Talk to Nevada about it. And so Tupac is giving us this insight into how, calling us to order this morning, to say, hey, I need you to take a look at your family. I need you to take a look at your community, and I need you to come together so you can figure out how to fight against this system. Because many of us cannot fight against the system because we fighting against each other. We fighting in our house. We fighting on our job. We fighting in the church. We fighting everywhere. I ain't got time to be fighting no system. I'm trying to survive. So Tupac says, listen, let me show you what's going to happen if we don't get ourselves together. Because what happens to Brenda as an individual affects the entire community. And that's what leads me into our EJI tidbit for today. It's right here, our EJI tidbit for today. On July 21st, 1913, 35 Black men at Oakley Farm, a segregated prison camp in Mississippi, burned to death when the neglected dormitory they were locked into at night caught fire. On July 21st, in 1913, 35 Black men at Oakley Farm, a segregated prison camp in Mississippi, burned to death when the neglected dormitory they were locked into at night caught fire. I definitely wanted to bring that up, first of all, because I'm from Mississippi, so I know the Oakley prison camp very well. I'm also aware that it is now what do you call the school? An alternative school that primarily targets Black boys, but the predominant enrollment is they're Black children, and it is alive and well, that school right now on that same campus. And I date a guy who worked there now. I used to date a guy, he worked there now. So this same prison camp where you murdered these people, now you're using it to house the children that you got set for the school to prison pipeline. And I brought it up because in Arkansas, we think about, for some of you, I'm sure you immediately thought about the Wrightsville 21. Because this is a similar story, that you have these children that you have locked into this place where you consider them criminals, you consider them in need of being locked up, and now you do not protect them, you do not care about their bodies, and they end up dead. And so for that to happen here in Wrightsville, and then for it to happen in Mississippi, what are we saying? That this is a common experience for Black folks. So when we start talking about community today, I'm not just talking about Little Rock community, I'm talking about Black folk community, because we are experiencing Blackness on every level, no matter where we live. And so we have to get ourselves together to say, listen, this is not just a independent story. This is not something that just happened in Arkansas. Even now when we talk about gentrification, even now when we talk all of the things, we talk about white flight, all of the things we can talk about, it happens systematically, and it's been happening systematically, and it targets Black folks, but it affects the entire community. It affects the human story. It affects everybody who is human. And so I wanted to lead us into that conversation using Tupac. I appreciate this song. I appreciate his attention to life experiences, coupled with the fact that as Black folks, we got to get ourselves together, because what's happening to one is happening to us all. And what made me think about all of this was Saturday. I want to thank Dr. Karama Neal. Listen, I've said this before. When I tell you she will extend the invitation, now you ain't got to show up, but she will extend the invitation. So I had an opportunity. Oh, it was just busy for me this weekend. So this was Sunday. Okay, so this was Sunday. Sunday, I had an opportunity to go to an event that they had at her church, St. Andrew AME. They had an event called Seven Up. I don't really know the name, but it was about Seven Up. Seven speakers in 7 minutes talking about the subject of up. So it was like look up, love up, listen up, some up. Because there was seven different speakers. And her daughter was one of them, Ayoka. And when I tell you her daughter did that, she took those 7 minutes to tell a story about her life. And then she connected it to her relationship with God. She wasn't saying, y'all need Jesus. She wasn't saying, you better get glory, you better get saved. No, she said, let me show you how the parenting that I had and the experience that I'm feeling now connects me to my spirit and reminds me of of my faith. She did that. When I tell y'all she did that, I might even play it one day. And then after that, we went to the Chris Jones block party. They were having a block party on Gaines Street right here in Little Rock. And y'all listen, I sweat. I'm gonna sweat anyhow, and I sweat profusely. You know how some people say I don't sweat, I glisten. I sweat just on a regular basis. I sweat. So in that 96-degree weather that felt like 107, baby, look, they had them spray bottles on that table. I kept going up there. She said, "Ma'am, you can just take it with you." Because I'm spraying my face. I'm rubbing ice on my head. I'm just, yeah. But we were outside having the conversation about Chris Jones's campaign, and Rodney Block was the entertainer for the afternoon. And Rodney Block got up and he started to greet us, and he started talking about the Lord. Okay. So already I did the dog. I did the dog tilt. And so then Chris Jones himself got up because Rodney was introducing Chris Jones. So Chris Jones gets up, and he started talking about the Lord. And so here I am again. And Chris Jones basically preaches a sermon. Yeah, Chris Jones is a preacher. He's a Baptist preacher. He's a rocket scientist. He's a published author. He's a politician. He's a whole lot of. He's a dad. What does he call himself? A girl dad. He's a husband. He's a whole bunch of things. And so he basically preaches a sermon because somebody invited him to a church and he ended up at the wrong church. However, the word that was preached in that church was preached for him. Have y'all ever been that way? Has it ever been that way that you in church and you listening to a sermon and you start looking around because you like, wait, he talking to me? How he know? And you start getting all nervous and antsy because you're like, who told you? But it's based on that passage of scripture, that verse in scripture that says that the word of God will not return void. Okay, so whatever it is sent out to accomplish, that it will do, if of course it is rooted in God. And so whatever word that pastor sent forth, it did not return void. It accomplished the purpose within the spirit of Chris Jones that told him whatever it was that he needed to know, and he shared that with us. And so by now, after Rodney Block brings up God, and then Chris Jones right behind him brings up God, so now I'm feeling some kind of way. Because the very next thing that Chris Jones says after he preaches the sermon is, we are well poised to win this campaign, but we can't do it without money. And so I'm like, so I started looking around. I'm like, so the preacher needs some money, and now you here in the community asking for it. Like, why you ain't ask for it in the church? That's what I'm thinking. And so that's what got me on this road that I'm on right now. I mean, I've been up. I'm talking about I've been thinking about this. I've been up a couple of nights just trying to do the research and all of that. And I said, so you done been to church. And but okay, if you are a 501c3, let me just pause for a moment. If you are a 501c3, it is not legal for you to participate in political endeavors. So the church cannot write a check to Chris Jones. The pastor, sure enough, better not write no check to Chris Jones' campaign. That is illegal as a 501c3. However, y'all know how to do workarounds. Y'all know how to raise money and then give it all to Johnny Sue and tell Johnny Sue to go turn it in at the I think it's 921. The campaign office for Chris Jones is 921 West Markham Street. If you're looking for a sign, if you are looking for whatever you might be looking for in order to support the campaign, that is his office, 921 West Markham Street. So y'all know, we know how to do that. We know how to collect money for whatever we need to do. We do the benevolent fund. We know how to do that. And so I just want to make sure that I'm clear. As a church, you are not allowed to participate in political endeavors. That's why most churches that want to be politically active, they have another arm. They have an arm of the church that can be a 501 501, what you call it, 501c3 is when you is the nonprofit, but there's a political number. You got a political number that you can use, that'll allow you to do that. So that's the way churches, that's that workaround. Let me start another branch of our church so that we can do the things, and it will be legal for us to do so. And so we go low time at the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So the harvest is plentiful. Yes, there's so much work that needs to be done for the Chris Johns campaign. But listen to me when I say he is 3 points ahead. We are well poised. But the key is money. And so because they were talking about church, I'm like, where can we get this money from for his campaign? And so that made me think about, okay, well, where is black money? Okay. Beyond the church, where is black money? And so I started thinking about the Divine Nine. Are y'all familiar with the Divine Nine? Those are the sororities and fraternities, the black fraternities and sororities, historically speaking. There's one that came in night. I did not know that a fraternity started, Iota Theta. I did not know a fraternity started in 1963 in response to the civil rights movement. I did not know that. I just found that one out. But I'm well aware of who started it. My frat started at A5 111900006 Alpha Phi Alpha. And then my own sorority, that was in 1906. And then here comes my fraternity, my sorority. I'm a legacy, so honestly, I didn't have a choice. I'm AKA, and we were founded in 1908. And then we also have, after that, we have the Kappa Alpha Psi, the pretty boys. Both of my brothers belong to Kappa Alpha Psi. And baby, they can show enough do that stroll. They can roll them shoulders, baby. You better not give my brother Dwayne, the one that's coming on the air soon when we can figure out this technology. You bet not give him a cane. And then if you get Derek and Dwayne together and both of them got canes and you turn on the music, they finna stroll all around this house. That's in 1911. And then actually their sister sorority, the sorority that serves as their sister organization is Sigma Gamma Rho. Not sure how that happened because they were not founded until 1920. And then we have Phi Beta Sigma. What's their called? Blue Phi. I love it. I love it. Do you hear me? I love to be in the space with all of that. And then their sister organization is Zeta Phi Beta. Listen, when I was in college and we were pledging, remember I pledged AKA, we are known for being pretty girls. But we strut and we hold up our pinkies and we all cute and we all dainty. We can step, but we going to do it in a way that's elegant. When I tell you them Zetas would get out there and break them doggone chains, they would step so hard they would break them chains. At the time, we were like, look at them, our country. That's at the time, but now I got nothing but mad respect for them. Yes. So these are the Divine Nine. You got Alpha Phi Alpha, Alpha Kappa Alpha. You got Kappa Alpha Psi. You got Sigma Gamma Rho. You got Zeta Phi Beta. You got Phi Beta Sigma. You got, who am I missing? I'm missing some folks. Did I say Delta Sigma Theta? It's 9 of them. That's why they call it the Divine Nine. Oh, wait a minute. Low is right here. Ecclesiastes 10:19 from the King James Version. Verse 19 says, a feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things. A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, Merry, but money answereth all things. Okay, well, let's go with that. But let's also be reminded that the love of money, though, is the root of all evil. I just had to remind somebody of this the other day. They had the audacity to talk to me about money. They had the audacity to act like I was concerned about some dollars that I had let somebody borrow. I said, listen, you ain't never got to pay me back, because one thing I do is give expecting nothing in return. If I ain't got it to give, I'm not giving it. If I need it, I'm not giving it. If I give it to you, you can have it. If you pay me back, that's fine. And so I said, don't you ever talk to me like that again, because I understand the need for money as a vehicle that we need to use to get things done. And that's what I do with money. I use money as a vehicle to get things done. I don't use, oh, I didn't even see that. Look, y'all, I got on these headphones. I didn't hear anything. I don't even see the light flashing. If there was somebody calling, y'all call back. Let me see if I can get myself together. I didn't even notice the light. I use money as a vehicle to get things done. And that's what I'm talking about this morning. We need to use money as a vehicle to get things done, because Chris Jones is 3 points ahead, right? Why do you think the Republicans were so up in arms? Because he left off that little bitty square off of his sign that said "paid for by the Chris Jones campaign." He just left off one little old bitty rectangle, and they lost their mind. I'm talking about they ready to sue. They want him to be disqualified. Because he's threatening them right now. So he is in the position. So that's what I walked away from. That's what I walked away from the block party with. First of all, Denise, make your donation. First of all. Let me go get hold on. I need to go get my book bag.
Hello, this is the general mailbox.
Yeah, I don't think I missed anybody's call. I think it's just something going on with the phone. But it would not be KABF if we were not having something going on with the phone. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to thank y'all this morning. Because even if there's something going on, even if there is something going on with our equipment, I'm not going to complain about it, because we wouldn't even have the equipment if it weren't for you. So even if it needs some tweaks, we're going to do everything we got to do to get these tweaks. We not finna complain, because we are grateful, because you make it possible. Because right now I am streaming globally from this studio because of the equipment that you all made possible. And I know you made it possible because I was the one running the campaign when the money came in and bought the equipment. So I know you did it. So I just want to remind you of how grateful we are that you are making it possible for us to be here. And I keep reminding myself, because I keep acting like we here to do something for y'all. That's how it sounded to me one day when it came out of my mouth. Because I'm a processor. When I walk out the door, I start Monday morning quarterbacking this whole conversation that I'm having. And when I was walking out the door, I said, no, Denise. The only way you can be here is because of them. Like, they make it possible for you to be able to do the things that you want to do. You're not doing nothing to help them. They're helping you. This is the only station where we would be able to have these conversations, and you make that possible. Here's Lo saying, your contribution does not have to be enormous. Donate $5, $10, or $1 to.
Hello, this is the general mailbox.
Okay, I guess their phone is throwing me off, y'all. Your contribution does not have to be enormous. Donate $5, $10, or $1 to elect Chris Jones. Yes, and so I had to go get my journal, because that's where all this information is. And so let me run down this Divine Nine. Alpha Phi Alpha 1906, Alpha Kappa Alpha 1908, Kappa Alpha Psi 1911, Sigma Gamma Rho 1922. I can't believe I left out the Q dolls, because as soon as I showed up at the block party, the keyboardist, his name is William, from Rodney Block's band. I saw him. I spoke to him. He came down to hug me. He was like, we having an all-white party on Saturday. So there's an all-white party happening on Saturday at 8:00 at the venue at West Wind in Maumelle. And it's sponsored by, I'm going to say, the Omega Men. I know they call you Q-Dogs when you're in college, but my understanding is that once you graduate, you're supposed to begin to live into being an Omega Man. So Omega Psi Phi 1911, their sister organization, Delta Sigma Theta in 1913, Phi Beta Sigma in 1914, 1914, Zeta Phi Beta in 1920, Iota Phi Theta in 1963. So those are the divine nine. And I wanted to make sure that I lifted up when they were founded because they've been here a long time. And so I was looking for in my mind, how can we support Chris Jones? He said, listen, we are poised to win. We are 3 points ahead. I cannot do it without the money. Gotta have the financial resources. So I'm looking for the financial resources. And I said, okay, let me just do this. If the Divine Nine decided to just donate $100 for each one of the organizations, just the whole organization, I'm talking about just the national organization, just $100 from Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated, just the whole thing worldwide. Just $100, that's $900. If they decided to do $500, that would be $4,500. If they decided to do $1,000, that's $9,000 right there, just from them. And I'm just talking about from the corporate office. But think about how many chapters each one of these sororities and fraternities have just in Little Rock. So if the chapter decided, say, hey, all of us gonna give, look, I'm saying I'm starting at 100, but y'all definitely can give more because I'm looking for the money. Remember, I'm looking for the money. Where is the black money? It's in sororities and fraternities for sure. Another place I was looking for the money. Oh, wait, let me correct something. I am centering blackness in this space, but it's going to take more than black people to vote for Chris Jones for him to win. All the black people in Arkansas can vote, and that will not do it. So it's not just us. The onus is not just on us, but I'm lifting us up because I'm centering blackness. And so then I started thinking about the social clubs that we have. What about the junior league? And what about the social club that I was in when I was growing up? I was in Jack and Jill. So when I say I'm looking for where the black money is, I know it's in these spaces because I grew up in these spaces. My mama was an AKA, I'm an AKA, both my brothers are Kappas, and all of us, me and my brother, I was in Jack and Jill because I remember the cotillion. I had to go out there and learn how to do the ball dance and blah, 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 blah. There's money in these spaces, black money in these spaces. And so the Jack and Jill started in 1938 by 20 black mothers who realized that their children were being overlooked. Their children were not, even though they knew their children were excellent, their excellence had no opportunity to grow. So you can be excellent all you want, but there have to be opportunities afforded for you to live into that excellence. And they recognize it. Like our children need to be able to go to museums and cultural institutions. Our children need to be able to go to theater performances and concerts. Our children need to be able to go to educational workshops and lectures. Our children need to be able to go to leadership development programs. Our children need to be able to go to public speaking opportunities. Our children need to be able to go to community, to engage in community service projects. Our children need and have the right to be part of this socialization so that their excellence can manifest in ways that are even surprising to them. Because it's not until you start doing something and you realize that you have a talent for it that it really becomes alive. My friend, that same one I was telling you about, Rodney, who works at the Oakley School, training school, he allowed me to meet his daughter the other day. She's 7 years old. What a joy she is. And when I was with her, she whispered it to me, Miss Denise, I have a talent that I don't usually tell anybody about. And I said, you do? What is it? And she said, I can sing. And when I sing, I sound like a grown person. I said, you do? She said, yeah. I said, well, then that's what we finna do. Come on, let's sing. What you want to sing? And so she wanted to sing Justin Bieber's Baby. Listen, I don't know. 7-year-old tell me she want to sing whatever song she want to sing. That's what we about to pull up. So we pulled up Justin Bieber. I didn't know the song, but it didn't take me long to learn the chorus. And so she was just a singing, that, whatever she was singing. Then here I come in on the verse, baby, baby, we had the best time. And what am I doing? Cultivating the talent within her. You should have seen the way she blossomed when someone was in the room saying, yes, I believe you. Yes, let's do it. Yes, let me see it. And she danced and bopped all around that room, and it was delightful. And she was such a joy. So these parents of Jack and Jill said, our children have talent that needs to be cultivated, and these are the spaces. You all deny the spaces, we'll open the doors for this of the spaces. And that's why Jack and Jill was created. And as it has grown into a pretty much like a kind of black elite kind of place. Like again, this is where money is in black spaces. Jack and Jill, and also in the junior league. And so I was trying to do the numbers because it says that there are 271 chapters at Jack and Jill. I was like, oh, okay, well, if there are 271 chapters and each chapter donated $100, how much money would that be? What if they donated $500? Well, how much would that be? I don't know if my number's right or not. $227,100 for $100. $500 would yield $135,500. $1,000 would yield $271,000. Like, so wait a minute. You mean to tell me we sitting on $271,000? We sitting on $144,500. I don't even know. Now, don't even get me started with the church, because I wanted to see what are the black mainline, the mainstream denomination churches, right? How many black churches fit up under that umbrella? So when we're talking about African Methodist Episcopal Church, the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church, when we're talking about the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, when we're talking about the Church of God in Christ, when we're talking about Baptist churches, when we're talking about United Methodist churches, when we're talking about Presbyterian churches, there are black churches in each one of these denominations. Well, of course, AME, Zion, and CME, they were meant to be. They started out black. They had to for their story. The process of affirmation is very powerful for our children. I know you wrote kids on here, but I hate it when we call our children kids. And so I'm changing it. I'm changing it up on you, Lo. The process of affirmation is very powerful for our kids. It's very powerful for our children, because our children are not kids, because kids are young goats. And so I know a lot of you all say, well, don't you want them to be young goats? Because doesn't GOAT stand for greatest of all time? Well, that's what y'all say. But then you turn around and read the Bible, and the Bible says in Matthew 25 that there's going to be a day when Jesus comes. If you believe the story, I'm not saying believe it. I'm just saying this is what it says. That when Jesus comes, again, he going to separate the sheep from the goat, and the goats ain't getting in. So you're going to raise your children as young goats because they the greatest of all time. And then they're going to grow up to be the greatest of all time. But according to your own theology, then they're going to go to hell. So all of this is important. I keep telling y'all, I learned this from Ruby Carter Welch. I will never forget it. She said, it ain't what they call you, it's what you answer to. I do not allow children in my space to answer to kids because I don't call them that. So that's why Lo says he understands. Lo says, look, I'm not worried about Lo. We get into it all the time. We probably gonna get into it tonight. But I'm asking myself, where is the money? And and so you said, well, Denise, you're talking about organizations, denominations that are not local. They don't know anything about Chris Jones. They don't know anything. It doesn't matter, because this is what Tupac is saying. Tupac is saying, listen, Brenda belonged to a family who obviously did not care about her, because they would not allow her to be 12 years old and get pregnant and just pretend like they don't see that she didn't have the back, that she's pregnant. She didn't got big. And then if you know she done got big, why y'all ain't looking for the baby? She done put the baby in the tray. Ain't nobody looking for the baby? And then don't tell me you don't know who the molester is. Because I know the stories all across every culture, not just black culture. You know who it is, especially when it's in your family. And y'all ain't said nothing. And then y'all done got mad at her and put her out. Okay, so here's where so Tupac is like, listen, Brenda don't know no better. This is how she's grown. She thinks that this is what life is about. How would she know any differently? She's 12. Somebody in the community has to come along and say, come here, sugar. Look, when I used to show up to do after school work, and I would give them, I always had, as part of the contract, I had to give them a pre-test and a post-test. And so I would tell them that um, because it was a pre-test and post-test, I could not help them because I had helped them all along the way. I could not help them. I said, so y'all are gonna, I know what's about to happen. Y'all are gonna call my name. You're gonna want me to come over and you're gonna want to help me. And I'm gonna say, sugar pie, honey pie, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna be able to help you. And so one day, that's exactly what happened. There was a young girl, a young queen, who called me over, and she was like, Miss Denise. I don't remember what she asked me, but I said, no, I can't help you. And this is what she said. She said, I thought you said you were gonna call me sugar pie, honey pie. I said, I sure did say that, sugar pie, honey pie. The baby wanted to hear that. She wanted to hear somebody call her sugar pie, honey pie. And so the community now has to come and pick Brenda up and change the trajectory of her. I get so sick and tired of when something happens to somebody's mom. When your mama put you out, somebody said, well, they ain't got a mama no more. Yes, they do. We become the mother. They might not have their biological mother, but whoever said, stop believing all these narratives that the only mama you will ever have is your biological mama. That is not true. I'm a mother right now, and I ain't never had a child birthed from my body. And so somebody has to come along. And so you, as all of these organizations, you may not be local to Little Rock, but you have a connection all across the world. And so all you have to do is use your network. Listen, we need every chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha to donate $100 to the Chris Jones campaign, because that's what community does. We show up wherever the need is and we make it happen. And we need every chapter of the Junior League. We need every chapter of Jack and Jill. I'm gonna call my network. I need y'all to send us some money, right? And that's how you do. You can. It's no reason why we can't make this happen. If we don't make it happen, it's because we have not learned our lesson from Joyce Elliott, because that's what happened to her. Joyce Elliott was. Has anybody talked to Joyce? I have. You know what? Shame on me. I have not reached out. Y'all, anybody know what's going on with Joyce? Y'all, let me know. There's no reason we can't make this happen. It's because we haven't learned our lesson, because Joyce was also well poised, but the money didn't come in. Shame on us for that. Shame on us for that. So if we have learned our lesson from her campaign, then we can say, we got to find this money. We got to find this money. Lowe says this. In 2025, Black folks spent $1.98 trillion in the U.S. economy. Blacks need to be better educated in directing our resources. In 2025, Black folks spent $1.98 trillion in the United States economy. Blacks need to be better educated in directing our resources. Yeah, okay, this is what I think. So I agree with you. Here we go again. I agree with you. Blacks need to be better educated. Blacks need to do a better job of directing our resources. I want to say I agree with you on that part. But about the educated piece, I'm not gonna claim that anymore. I used to say that too. Like, we got to do a better job educating folks around these issues. Life is about choices. Every every time you spend money, that's a choice that you make on how you want to spend your money. You don't need no education on how to spend your money. You know how to spend your money. You know where to spend your money. You know how much to spend, because you do it every single day. Every single day, you make sure that you have what you want and what you need. And sometimes you forego what you need for what you want. So I don't have to educate you on it, but we do need to do a better job of directing our resources. 100% right on that, Lo. I got you. And that's what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about, here this man is. Am I? Caller, wait. Caller, are you on the air?
Yes. My
Okay.
question would be, get a bit to understand. I'm familiar with you back, brother. What are the Divine Nine and all the other organizations that we have supposed to be? Who are they really working for? Are they working for us? Or are they working for someone else? Because if they are working for us, they done a sorry ass job. I'm very familiar with the Divine Nine. Matter of fact, I'd go back deeper than that if I just wanted to. I'm not going to get off into it. But who are they really working for? These are questions we need to ask about our leaders and say, who are you really working for? See, because we caught up in the getting heaven in the material things and all of these things. But the divine, I'm not even going to mention the name because really I get really damn upset about that and other things too. But that is the question we need to ask. Preacher, who are you working for?
Okay, thank you,
The
caller.
leaders, who are you really working for?
Gotcha. We got you. We got you. Who are you really working for? Well, let's go back for a moment. Let's see if we can answer that question. So here's low first. Always choices and consequences of those choices. Yes. And so we make choices on how to spend our money, and every choice we make carries consequences and in some cases repercussions. And that's why I said one day I continue to say this to people. Don't ever ask me, do I have the money? Do I have the money? Ask me, is this how I want to spend my money? Because that's the question I ask myself. Is this how I want to spend my money? And that is what guides my actions as it relates to the monetary transactions. So the caller says, "Who are the Divine Nine? Who are they working for?" Well, remember when I talked about the Junior League and how they came into existence? It was because there were spaces, social spaces, that were being denied to the mothers as well as their children, their entire family, their entire community. That's what happens, continues to happen across this country for any number of populations, but especially for those of us who are members of the African diaspora. And so they wanted to create the space. And so when you think about the sororities and fraternities, they were creating this space for socialization. And so even now, if you go online and you do even just a little bit of research, because all this information that I got, this was a cursory search. I did not dig as deep as I do on other days because I just was not interested. I just was not. The other times I be digging for days because it's intriguing to me, and one thing takes me to another. Before you know it, I've been on here for 4 hours. But I wasn't that interested. I just wanted to get some numbers. And so they wanted to create these social spaces. And if you go on now and you do just a little bit of research, it'll say that the Junior League feels like a sorority. And so it's born out of purpose, but it turns into a created space that you're missing from the system of white inhumanity. You're looking at the system of white inhumanity and you see, oh my goodness, they have country clubs. Oh, we ought to have a club. See, that's what happens. And so we lose sight of the purpose because Junior League was not um, created to be feel like no sorority. That was not the purpose. And when we think back historically in the space of blackness, we've lost sight of our purpose. Even when you think about Tupac, y'all don't like him, but he closer to rap than what y'all listening to now because he's conscious. Tupac is conscious. Rap started out conscious. But what happened? Rap started out conscious, yes, but amongst people who did not have a lot of money. And so once the system realized, oh, we can exploit this if we just give them some money. That's all we got to do. And so once the system stepped in and started taking over the music, the system then says, well, if you want to make the music, you're going to have to stop talking like this. And they said, oh, okay. But then how do I need to make the music? Okay, well, if you want to make music now, then all your women need to be bitches. All your videos need to have women that don't have many clothes on. So you can see they what you call that little bottom that comes out when you have on the shorts, and that little bottom that comes out of from your gluteus maximus. I don't know what that's called, but we want to be able to see all of it. And then you got to call them hoes too. And so now what do? We convert. We comply. We let go of who we are to become what they want for the money. That's what begins to drive us for the ability to be able to say we can do the same thing y'all doing. Just like when I say sometimes I'll say something like, "Well, I don't want to be like that," and then they'll say, "Well, that's what the white people do," and then I'll say, "Well, is that what you want? You want to be white? Is that the goal? I don't care what they're doing. I don't care how they're doing it. That's not who I want to be. I'm not gonna pattern myself after them." And that's what ends up happening. And so we're still working for ourselves, but I think we're working for ourselves, but we're working for ourselves with a misguided purpose. And so we are not keeping the main thing the main thing. Right now, for us in Arkansas, for everybody who is a human, the main thing is getting Chris Jones elected. I mean, we need to elect some other people, yes, but this race right here with Chris Jones, it is important. And so we're trying to figure out where is the money. So I am challenging y'all. I'm sending in $100. That's what I'm doing. I'm challenging y'all. That's my donation. It's gonna be $100 because like I said, I'm starting at 100. I know I mentioned 500 and I mentioned 1,000. Let Virgin Miller send his $500 in and his $1,000 in. I'm gonna send my 100. And I'm looking for the little card, y'all. The little card that tells you where to send the money. Like, why can't? What is going on today? Mm, I got time to tell you on Thursday because I can't even find a little envelope. I brought the envelope in with the number. I called myself trying to get it all in for you. But there's so many ways that you can donate to the Chris Jones campaign. Primarily, you can go to the office at 921 West Markham Street, right here in the city of Little Rock, downtown. And I can also tell you the number to his campaign manager, Kimberly. That is her name. Let me give you her number. She'll be more than happy to receive. She'll be more than happy to receive this. This donation. I'm just looking up her number right now so I can give it to you. Kimberly. So her number, this is Chris Jones' campaign manager. Her name is Kimberly. Her number is 501-413-3745. 501-413-3745. If you want to make a donation, you can do so. She'll give you all the information that you need to make that possible. And so the conversation is about this. It's about how do we recognize when one part of our body has failed us. Once we recognize that, what can we do to step in to fortify the person that has been dropped? How do we scoop down and catch them before they fall? And even if they fall, how do we reach down and pick them up so that we can help them along their way? So that we can go from, yes, your family may have failed you, but we got you, boo. We got you. And so then how do we do the work as community across all of the different aspects of lived experience? We got to show up for everybody in every way. We got to show up for the school. We got to show up in the housing. We got to show up in employment. We got to show up in healthcare. We got to show up in religion. We got to show up in politics. We got to show, and that's why it takes community. And so here we are. We have an opportunity to make history. There has never been from Arkansas a Black person in the White House representing us. Never. We have the opportunity now. We have access to the money now. What you gonna do? What you gonna do, boo? We'll see. Thank y'all so much for joining us for Community Voices. You have been live right here at KABF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. You have been tuned in, and you are ready to be tuned in to what's next? What's next, y'all? Did you say your girl Lola? Usually I say your girl Lola is already here. She already in the house, but today she is not because she is allowing me to do Jazzy Tuesday. So right after station identification, I'll be right back with 2 hours of jazz that you do not want to miss because I've been sitting at your girl Lola's feet and I am learning and I am ready today. We'll see you soon. You're listening to KABF